I was waiting. Hi.
Girl,
Hey, girl. Hey.
how are you on this chilled Thursday evening?
Getting
as
cold.
Autumn comes upon us.
Girl, I am losing my melanin. I am no longer. I was looking like a black woman for a long time. And I still look like a black woman, but I was looking like a brown, sun-kissed black woman, in my opinion. And now if you see me on these here Patreons, even my favorite red lipstick looks tricky on me. It's giving ghostly.
Porcelain Princess.
The Porcelain Princess is back in full effect, and I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm so irritated by it. You know what it was? This is how
What
I
was
knew.
it?
How did I start I hate doing my updates first. I put my foundation on, and it did not. It was given.
It is time to switch your foundation. Listen, you heard it here first.
So I will tell you what I did. I put concealer on and then just spread that shit all over my face. And that is how I knew it was time.
Oh, no,
I don't think that y'all realize how much I do tan, because it just, like, I have two different sets of like makeup for summer me and then fall me and then winter me. I just need to hibernate. No one should see that. No one should see it. So here we are. Time to trade in this beautiful red for something a little darker, I guess, or just give up. I don't know. Anyway, that's where I'm at in the world. This will be my fourth podcast this week.
Oh, you working?
Recording.
Got me working day and night.
Let me make sure. Yeah, it's true. I did See the Thing Is this week with Bridget and Mandy. I have another thing that I'm cooking up with two people that I can't talk about yet. And then I will talk about this later because this is a longer story. But I was on the Melly Monaco. I think that's how you say it. But she has this show called The Pineapple Show and I don't even know this lady. She's a very nice lady, gorgeous woman. Wait. I'm so sorry. I'm getting texts on my sister is such a fucking jerk. I love her. So is my mom. I'm getting SMS texts on my computer. And I saw my mom, and she has not spoken to my sister and I in like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days maybe. And she writes, "Do I have your Hulu password? Down the shore wanted to log in." Tina writes, "Oh, hi, Mom. It's good to hear from you. I'm doing fine. Work has been good." And she goes on and on and on. And then she goes, I have a great group of students this year, feeling really good about it. Other than that, all is well, with the thumbs up and a fucking smiley face. And then she writes, "Hulu password is." My sister, the way she sons and checks people.
What did your mom say?
Nothing. She probably she's going to say, "Oh, sorry. Ha ha ha. Thank you." And she'll do it again. But anyway, that distracted me. I was on this Pineapple Show, and I'll go into what it is later on another episode because it's a longer conversation. And I have to say, it depressed me. I was sad. I was sad afterwards. I got a lot of love on there, but it was a dating show. And
you know what happened with the Roundaway Curls dating show? You done put your foot in the pool already. You know the temp.
You know what's funny is she reached out to me just randomly on IG, and I was hesitant. She was like, "Let me send you an episode so you can see." And the people that were on this person's episode, I didn't feel were the same that were on my episode. It was
given
it was
inequality.
But I won't say that I watched the whole thing. I scrolled and clicked one thing, and this person had some sense. So maybe I should have watched the full video. Anyway, I'll get into it a little later. But it was quite the experience, I must say. And,
I'm excited to hear about this. I saw little tidbits. You looked like
my hair
God
was
intended. You didn't. Yeah. You looked like, goddamn, who's that?
My hair was given.
It looked
But
like
other
a
than
baddie.
that, it was just a mess. It was a mess. It was a mess.
I'm sorry, and I'm look forward to hearing about it. Sorry, as well, to be entertained by your misfortune. On behalf of all the listeners, we apologize, but we are eager to consume.
Great.
This week, I'm not going to talk about myself. This week, I am asking the Around the Way Curls community to show up for a dear friend of mine. She is a mother. She has 4 children, fellow local Philadelphia business owner who is dealing with some very serious legal issues. And as we all know, legal lawyers, representation, if you want to be represented correctly, want somebody to fight for you, costs a lot of money. So a lot of her energy and resources have been going into this legal matter, for which I am definitely by her side and I support her in this. I hope the courts see her as the winner or coming through. I hope the court brings justice to the case. I can't go into all of it. But what I do know is that I've been watching her for a very long time figure that out, pay for it with her own money, and she is now having to move and needs some assistance in moving. I'm facing some housing insecurity. Close friend of mine, and I'm asking everybody to please help her. 4 babies, the youngest being 1. I really stand and vet for this person. She's beautiful inside and out and just needs help. In watching and being a witness to the trials and tribulations, I have noticed even for myself how we don't like people that are poor, and we don't like people like moms. Like, it brings up a lot of stuff in people. And even me talking about the situation, I've been noticing how people respond, and it's just really deep in us, judgment and stereotypes and just how we interface with folks that are in need. So that's been coming up for me. But listen, please support this woman. I'm going to give you her Venmo. It's BKIND capital GZ, and her PayPal is BkindFamilyservices @gmail.com. Send her $5, $10, $20. It's getting cold. We can't see her. Not having a space for her babies, y'all, while she goes through this really difficult time in her life. So please, you'll know I don't have a warm heart. And for me to do this must mean a lot. So send her what you can. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's my update.
It's very, very kind. Yeah, and shout out to her. She knows who she is. I don't know if she'll
be all right.
But...
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk more about that, but I don't want to put nobody's business out there. That's not my own. I want to ask the listeners, and I also thank them too. I've been seeing the reviews on Apple. I still don't know how to check the reviews on Spotify. Child, we'll figure it out. But the reviews on Apple have been really thoughtful and really great. And I just want to encourage folks, if they can, to please leave a review. If you have time, if you're a newbie, come on, let us know how we're doing. It really helps our visibility. It really helps us when we're in conversation with brands and with just different campaigns and things of that nature. So please feel free to do that. Also, please, as always, rate, subscribe, and share the content. You've been seeing the numbers grow. So welcome to all of the new Around the Way girls. We see you and we appreciate you. But up next, we have our hot shit. Johnny?
So for hot shit for me this week, Atlanta returns. They're on their second episode, season 4, the final season. It's just chef's kiss. Just they have a scene centered around Black men and therapy. And so it's what the hell is his name? Damn, what's the character's name? Oh,
now you know I ain't gonna.
Dang it. I am fucking up. What's his name? Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about.
The rapper?
Yeah.
Or Earl?
Irv. It's Irv.
Irv,
and
whatever.
He is in therapy with another Black male therapist. And so we hear about Black men going to therapy, but actually to witness a Black man in therapy and work through something and have a breakthrough is the most beautiful. It was just so beautiful and refreshing and being like, yo, I've never seen this storyline before. Like, what? And of course, Atlanta's going to do what Atlanta does. So it's, it was just a chef's kiss episode. I'm happy to see them back.
I still have not finished the last season and I don't know why.
And well, you're not invested in it. It's okay.
But I like it so much. When I watch it, I just sit quietly like, wow. But anyway, whatever. Go ahead.
It's strange. It's a strange feeling when you watch it.
No, but it's incredible. I feel inspired after I watch it.
Well, you should continue or just watch the second episode because, of course, it's not like a very strong through storyline, so you don't have to like watch the episode before. What you do have to stay on top of, though, baby, is these Game of Thrones now.
I'm caught up.
You are all caught up?
I'm caught up.
Thank
proud of
God.
Me. That's what I don't have time to watch all these things. Y'all are asking me to watch too much now. I don't know how y'all do it. And the only reason why I'm caught up is because work was slow one day and I put it on in the background. But it wasn't very in the background.
I guess this is the 4th episode. I think it's the 4th episode or 5th episode. Okay. But it's feeling real Game of Thronesy. It's feeling like, okay, we're getting into, I'm feeling like the intrigue is increasing. The drama is increasing. It's far less violent than the other episodes.
I mean, wait, are you caught up? Did you get to the wedding?
I mean, no, it was violent, but in comparison to like, I feel like it's slower and it's a little less violent than the first season.
I'm not invested in any of these characters yet. Like, I love Ned Stark right away. I don't love anybody. And the person that I did love, the only person I was invested in is, what's her name? Rhea.
The queen?
The girl who's going to be the queen, the princess.
Oh, really? You were invested in
I liked her. I like her little weird face. I like her facial expression.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful face. There's a lot of like you said it best.
Interesting whites.
Interesting.
Ethnic looking whites in that show.
Yes, that her uncle is an actual elf. I am convinced that he is not a human. I am so
Damon.
Confused. Damon?
Yeah.
The demon? I'm just like, bro, I want to see what he looks like in real life, but I'm not that invested, and then I'm not shocked. Like, a lot of these reveals aren't shocking to me because I'm, maybe I'm desensitized because it's Game of Thrones. So, and I don't want to give anything away, but it's still good. I'm invested enough to watch 5 episodes and know that, okay, it's a slow build, baby. They got to build this world up. I have an unpopular opinion.
What?
I don't like these Black folks. I don't like it. The guy who she's engaged to that dreadlock, that dreadlock conch wig is getting on my nerves. It's weird to me only because I don't understand the through line. It feels inauthentic. It feels like, wait a minute. In the original Game of Thrones, we had Grey Worm and Missandei, right? Mm-hmm. And they had that little bit of racial tension when they went to the north, where people were looking at them like, what are they? What's happening? And they didn't really build on that storyline, but it bubbled and it was there. I feel that it's strange now to have this Black man with these white dreadlocks in such a position of power. The through line, they have to address the fall from grace for the Black characters. They have to address it at some point because we're way before Masandi and Great
But wasn't she from a completely different? Weren't they from like the jungles of the realm?
But what I'm saying is the only Black people in Game of Thrones, and this is from a storytelling point of view. I love to see diversity, but I want it to make sense and be consistent, and I want them to have to address it. To me, it's like you have this man who's basically kind of running the king at this point. Like he's calling a lot of the shots, and the king is in a weak state, and the king needs to unify the houses with this Black man. It's like, well, y'all better address this, because I didn't see any Black folks at all in any positions of power in any of the other worlds.
I don't feel that way at all. If he was like an elf or like some weird looking, like had some wild, phenotypical thing aside from being Black in this strange world, I don't know if we would blink an eye. But because he's a Black person, we're like, oh
no, that's not what I'm saying. It's because it wasn't addressed. I'm talking about the storyline. The storyline. What I just need it to be addressed in a real way. Make it make sense, because you ignored Black people the entire first 8 seasons of this world. So explain to me how this man is
They had
exalted.
a diversity staff and they in this bitch and we ain't got to say nothing because we ain't got to explain it. No. I don't know if they were to explain it and the storyline was around power dynamics between white and Black. I don't want to see that. I think I would be. I
don't know if it has to be that. It could be just be the fall of the family. It could just be that. I don't even know his family name, but it could just be that. But make it make sense to me.
He is the original being. They are the original beings, and everybody else is a descendant from him.
We'll see. But I take issue with the folks who are saying it's not realistic for Black people to be in it at all. And I'm like, wait, it's dragons and shit in this. Like, relax.
Exactly. Like everybody show up. Now, if they have an Asian or somebody in it, then we're going to be like, whoa, where did this come from? Oh, my God. But because it's a Black person, we're like... You
always got to say something crazy.
I will say, though, a lot of people were upset around the gay storyline. They felt like... Similar to Black people, they just felt, I don't want to say anything, spoiler alert, but they felt like how they handled the gay storyline was...
What gay storyline?
Have you watched the...
Yeah,
all I can say is this is Game of Thrones. That's all I got to say.
There's so many gay storylines in Game of Thrones. What are we talking about right now?
Well, I think people wanted to be more of like a centralized story versus like this side character thing versus it being like, this is the character, this is what they do. It's not like a plot.
Well, we don't know that it's not going to be that yet.
I ain't say it. This is coming from the community, the internet community of the.
I'm so sick of the internet,
folks. So,
we'll my see thing what happens.
Anybody and everybody is under threat in Game of motherfucking Thrones.
Do you care about anyone yet? And we can get off this.
I care about the Queen. I'm invested in the Queen.
In the beginning.
I'm invested in the Queen.
She's not the Queen yet.
No, the Queen that's the Queen now. That was her best friend.
You're invested in the Queen.
I want to see what she does. I like her.
I just got invested in her because she just got her wits about her.
Yeah, I like this power bubbling in her. I feel like her motives are clear and understandable, and she has strong motives, and I ain't mad at her. She show up, fuck it up.
I love that
like
moment,
her.
and I noticed it right away when those doors opened. And for those of you that watch will know what I'm talking about. And I said, "Oh, that's a different," because I like the other outfit that she wears with the little cutouts on her arms. I said, "Oh, that's a different dress and a different color." And she embodies that power, and like physically. I will say, if you do stay on, I think this is going to be interesting. I'm curious to know how the audience will handle it. They're skipping timeline.
Yes, moving up. Those actors are done.
Those actors are done. They're gone.
Which makes me sad.
Me too, because I loved staying with the people before. So I think a really great aspect of Game of Thrones was the pacing. And when the pacing sped up in the way that it did, it lost a lot. It lost a lot. Game of Thrones was Game of Thrones because of the moments between the characters and the journeys. And you felt like you were journeying with them. Now it's just plot driven. And I don't know if it will have the same impact, but we'll see.
It's true. I'm not emotionally invested in anybody, really.
We literally watched Arya, Sansa, Jon grow up. We watched them grow up. There's a different level of investment.
We don't know what's going to happen. We'll see. We'll see. You know who else is saying y'all gonna see? You thought it was a fucking game? You thought this was over? Pink Sauce Lady has inked a licensing deal with Dave's Gourmet. I'm telling you, her marketing was on point. Her execution was because she did not have the resources and the support. But the idea that she had, I think, is genius. And I'm excited and happy that she is getting the resources and leveling up to come to a table near you. Shout out to the Pink Sauce Lady. Don't count her out.
Let's take a running list of Shanti's investment. It's Wendy Williams. Mm-hmm. Who is it?
Pink Sauce Lady.
Pink Sauce Lady. You had a weird thing. Who was the last episode you were talking
Larry
about?
David.
Larry David, we know. Who else though? You were like, I care about this person, and it was just like the most random human. I don't remember, but it was weird to me.
Chaos.
You know who it wasn't? Zendaya. We'll talk about that later. I gotta put that clip up. Get you out of here. You gotta get you canceled. Everybody deserves a little cancellation. Okay. In other news, something that I am very invested in is A Different World. I was speaking to my sister, the show A Different World. I was speaking to my sister, and she has not watched A Different World as an adult. She only remembers it as a child. And I said,
I can't say that I have either.
Oh my God, I watched it twice as an adult. It was on Netflix for some time. And again, the first season, garbage, terrible. But they're on their 25th anniversary of A Different World, which is aging us. And Whitley and Dwayne, Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison, child, one of them's right. They went on The Breakfast Club, and I'm not a big fan of The Breakfast Club, but this interview, was lovely. All of those hosts had so much reverence for them, and the connection that Kadeem and Jasmine Guy still have is so beautiful. I had no idea that Jasmine Guy was the around the way auntie that she is. Girl, she was spilling the tea. I think she was getting a little tipsy as well.
I was like, is she okay?
Did you watch the full interview?
I watched a clip. No, I didn't watch the full interview.
You got to watch the full interview. But they really gave so much background on the show. And I highly recommend that folks watch the full interview. And I just want to say that Debbie Allen deserves so much praise for breathing life into that show. She came on, Bill Cosby brought her on after the first season was awful. She also changed the dynamic of the working environment. Lots of people got fired, lots of this and that, because Jasmine Guy revealed that Lisa Bonet was basically being abused on set by the producers, that it was such a hostile work environment. Everybody was on edge. They were barking orders at her. And still, she was not the person that chose not to come back. They didn't want her to come back because she was pregnant. And they didn't want they have not revealed who the they was. There's rumors it was the network. There's rumors it was the studio. There's rumors it was Cosby. But they did not want to have a pregnant Black girl in college on the show.
Interesting.
So they had to revert, like the whole show was based off of Denise, off of Lisa Bonet's character, of course. And so they had to switch gears. And then they decided, okay, Whitley and Dwayne. And Whitley, I did not know, she was 30-some years old playing this 20-some-year-old. She was older than everyone else on set. And she, on this interview, slips into that voice and starts doing her thing. And it was incredible to see. It really was. And then, Oh my, I think folks know, if you're a long time listener from the beginning, my ultimate crush is not a real human. It is the character Dwayne Wayne. I love that man. I still want to marry him. And Kadeem was just talking about his evolution. They both were, again, bigging up Jasmine Guy and giving her praise for the cultural impact, how hard she had to work to get those themes on air, right? The apartheid, the AIDS crisis, the epidemic, like all of these conversations that they were like, yo, we just want a show that has these two characters fall in love and it's funny. You're doing way too much. And Debbie Allen really demanded it. I also want to shout out Woody Harrelson, our white boy Woody.
White Kadeem
and Woody went off and did White Man Can't Jump. And Woody Harrelson was also on Cheers. Well, Woody Harrelson, so Bill Cosby, The Cosby Show was number 1. A Different World was number 2. Cheers, number 3. And it was in that order. And so the network was saying, oh, well, A Different World's number 2 only because it comes on between The Cosby Show and Cheers. So they wouldn't pay these kids anything. Jasmine Guy said that her first contract, she was getting paid $6,000, I believe, either a week or a month or something like that, which is pretty minuscule for what the show was making. It was Woody Harrelson that let Kadeem know, this is what I'm getting paid for Cheers, which is a show that's not getting the ratings that you're getting. I have a secretary, I have a trailer, I have all of these amenities. And so they had to fight for their money. And Woody and Kadeem was talking about how there were times when he would fake sick, like he was at work. His mom was, fake sick to not go into work. And his mom was managing him. And I believe, I don't know if she still does. I don't know if she's still living, but she was his longtime manager. And she said, you taught me a valuable lesson because you knew your worth and you would not accept anything less.
She said that to him?
She said that to him.
Amen.
You would not accept anything less than what Woody Harrelson told you that he was getting. And he probably could have gotten more. But the last thing I'm going to say is Dwayne, I keep calling him Dwayne, Kadeem talked about the famous scene where he breaks up the wedding. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And for those of you that don't know this, you must go watch. You must go watch this show. And he said that he struggled so much as the human, as Kadeem, to buy into that. He was like, we've done so much real shit on this show that now he's going to go and break up her wedding and say his vows. And then she says, I do. Come on, this is way too Hollywood. This is silly. Please, can we do something different? No, you guys got to figure it out. So he went to the writers and said, all right, help me out with this. Let me go to her house first. And then, so, remember when he shows up at her mom's house and then they have the talk, whatever. So long story short, he had another actor who was at the wedding. And he said, listen, when I come up this aisle, I want you to grab me with all your might. Don't let me up this aisle. And so the actor attempts it. He waves him off and keeps going. And the actor really grabs him. He said he got so caught up in the moment and because he knew that if he didn't get it right the first time, it was going to get progressively worse because he couldn't commit to it the way that he wanted to. And he got so flustered that he lost the words. And so when he's saying the vows to love you, to this, to that, and then you just hear him say, please, baby, please. And that's a call out to School Days, right? That's a call out to Spike Lee. That's a call out to his shit. It's not really, well, they said it a little bit in School Days, whatever. And so Jasmine Guy and him were in what? School Days. And she said in that moment, she knew he's done. That he delivered his line. She goes, I do. And then you hear Debbie Allen come over the God mic and she goes, we got it. First time. And he said, and it's in front of a live audience. So that's the brilliance of the show. It's like, if you don't get it right the first time, it is going to slowly decline, because you're only going to get that audience reaction that very first time. Now they know what's coming. Now they're acting with you. So I love those, as you can see how excited I get. I love those kind of stories. It makes me think of like my time in theater when like these moments happen and they're not scripted and you can't make it up. And it's just this, you're so present with two people. And that moment, if you go back, you can watch it on YouTube. It's perfect.
It is. It's beautiful.
It's perfect.
It's iconic.
It's iconic. And I will say, if you do go back and watch A Different World, it is a little heavy-handed at times. It's a little campy at times, but it's just the right amount because the audience that they were gauging, it's like they needed to explain what they were talking about so that the audience understood, you know, parents could watch it, young kids could watch it. It's just a masterpiece. And I don't know that we're still doing that kind of work. Maybe we are. I don't watch these other shows out, but shout out to them.
I think it's really dope to watch those shows as adults. Like even
it's
just
like
watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I was like,
brilliant.
What? They were doing what? The Cosby Show. I mean, Cosby, say what you want, fucked up, but you can't take away the brilliance and magic and culture that was represented in the Cosby Show. So much so that I don't know about JoJo watching the Cosby Show. I'm out on that, but definitely she's been watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and she should watch this as she gets a little bit older.
Yeah, she gets a little bit older. I think this would be really good for her to watch A Different World. She might not understand all the themes and things,
which I didn't
right now.
Which I didn't because
I was young.
A child. I didn't understand the significance, and my white mom wasn't explaining, HBCUs and that, like college.
HBCU, like. We need like HBCUs. What? Yeah. Incredible. So shout out to them. I ate that up. I loved that. And I will forever love Dwayne. Long live Dwayne Wayne. Dwayne.
On to politics as usual. I realized that I am offering a lot of social media handles and spelling them out, which is really hard for people to process. So this is an alert and just bringing recognition to the disaster in Puerto Rico right now from Hurricane Fiona. This hurricane came, I think, to the date 5 years that Maria came, which is super spooky to me and wild. If you guys are listening to the news, you know that the island is devastated, flooded, and there's not a lot of electricity for folks. So the closest person to me that I know of that I can really use as a source that folks can vet would be Santana Caress. Everybody in the fucking world knows Santana. So you're probably like, yeah, I know that, who that is. What I will give you is her Instagram handle. She has a post. She's actually living in Puerto Rico right now, a native of New York, but has moved to Puerto Rico. And so if you follow her social media handle, Santana, SantanaCaress, she has a post that's listed all the different grassroots organizations that you can donate to and offer some help that are vetted for the people, by the people that you can trust will be in safe hands to keep folks safe, offer food and all the essentials in this moment. So check her out. It's a pink box. And I'll also put her tag as well as my friend's information in our description so you can return to it if you can't understand what I'm saying with all this spelling. Also in politics, friend or foe, foe as in fuck out of here. Last week we talked about the billionaire Yvon Chouinard and his family. We were exalting him in him giving away all of his the profits from his very successful business Patagonia. And I was in the car listening to NPR, and they had a segment on talking about the financial legality behind his quote unquote giving up his billionaire status and giving it to nonprofit organizations that are devoted to climate change. And so as I described how he goes about doing this, basically, just like I said, layman's terms, I am not in any way a financial expert, but what ends up happening is that the profits from the business are then sent to a nonprofit, and nonprofits, 501c3s, are tax exempt. They do not have to pay any taxes on the money that comes in. And so the billions of dollars and millions of dollars that Patagonia makes each year is then not being taxed. And so they brought up the background of Yvonne, and this is a ride or die nigga. Like, he was only hell-bent set on like rock climbing. At one point he was eating cat food out of a can, like very far from being materialistic. Patagonia was built just from him wanting to create more effective climbing equipment for, I guess, what his passion was. And it just grew and grew. If you listen to this episode, they just talk about how they've always kind of been in conflict as a business around just making a shitload of money and creating a whole bunch of waste, and like that against their values, which are around preserving the environment and not being like greedy, money hungry motherfuckers. But nonetheless, even though they have these really, really admirable values, they end up not having to pay taxes in the same way that Elon Musk and so many other billionaires avoid paying taxes. And we have so much disdain, and we like create this narrative of Elon and these folks that are trying to get over, but yet Yvonne and what he's doing is like regarded as, you know, benevolent and wonderful.
Did you hear what you just said? I mean, I think that's why. It's because Yvonne is not, it's not his intention. He can't control the law. That's what the law is. I think Yvonne would be against that law, if anything.
And that's what the family said. The family said that it's because of the poor tax codes. But still, I mean,
he can't do anything about that. It's not
I just find it really, really,
it's doing it because he wants to cheat the system. Trump is doing it because they want to cheat the system.
Or they just, I don't know if they want to. It's just like, this is the way it is.
Yeah. No,
this is the way it is. I'm not cheating.
Trump has been proven he's getting sued by New York right now for tax fraud and evasion.
Either way,
he didn't want to cheat the system. And Trump has said himself, it's not my problem if I'm smart and hire people who know how to hide my money.
Either way, marketing is amazing. Narratives are amazing. The same consequence, the general consequence is the same. It's just the story and the people behind it.
Intention is a thing. And if you intend to fraud people, like he tried to give the company.
They're just they're following tax codes.
Right. He's following the tax. But what I'm saying is the other loopholes that we're talking about, that you're talking about when you bring up an Elon Musk or like even then, I mean, I guess we can't have the same. I mean, the real issue is the actual tax code laws.
It's the actual tax code.
Right. But there are these billionaires and multimillionaires that intentionally do things to lower the amount of money that they're going to be taxed on.
Don't we all?
I mean, I think it's very different for someone. Listen, I equate this shit to like a Brett Favre who's rich as all hell and finds a way to cheat the system and is stealing welfare dollars from Jackson, Mississippi. To me, you can conflate it all together. It's just like, yo, if you have the means, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? But yeah, I mean, the real issue is the tax codes. I don't have beef for Yvonne. I especially don't have beef for Yvonne's kids.
No,
they offered them the company and they were like, what? No. I don't want this on my conscience.
They're doing awesome stuff with that money. They're buying land. They're fighting. They're choosing land that needs to be preserved and putting all of their money into legal cases. Like, they are doing the work. If I had to make a opinion about it, Yvonne and them are down for the cause, and like, it doesn't feel as naughty and gross, but it ain't changing the fact that we have to pay taxes and they don't. So narrative is everything. Marketing is just,
you keep going back to narrative, but I don't
it
know.
is. Okay. It depends on how You spin
It's not
it like
it's. I don't think narrative is everything. I think that the tax codes and capitalism and how the rich need to stay rich and the poor need to stay poor in order to make it work is everything. Because the narrative
the
around it
tax
is
codes.
like,
That's what I'm talking about. But
oh,
it's just like the narrative, not the tax. The tax codes have to change, and I feel like I love that. That's what their point was. It's like
okay.
this is fucked up, and we would change it. What is the most fucked up is that we have these tax laws that need to be changed. But in the meantime, I'm gonna ride around my Subaru and get it. Generational wealth. But are they really giving it away? I don't know. Anyway.
Well, we'll see, I'm sure. In other news, I definitely want to give folks some information on the student loan forgiveness. Here are some dates that you need to know. So everyone, get your pens and your pencils or your devices. October 2022, application for student loan forgiveness will be released. The Department of Education is recommending people even apply if they have automatic forgiveness. November 15th, 2022, apply for student loan forgiveness by November 15th. There's some turnaround time, so applying by this date ensures that you will receive relief before payments resume and interest accrues. Remember, Joey Robinette said that, listen, we can't keep deferring these goddamn loans. You got to start paying them January 2023. All right. December 31st, the final deadline to apply for student loan forgiveness. But understand, if you apply that date and you don't get it, you need to start paying in January. So just get on your shit. January 1, 2023. If you didn't receive total forgiveness, payments are no longer paused and interest begins accruing, which is why you want to apply as early as possible. So if you have student loans, make sure you're on top of your shit. Make sure you're checking the Department of Education. We'll definitely shout out when those applications are made available to you. In other news, this really touched me and made me incredibly sad. Did you listen to Serial, the podcast?
Years ago. I done forgot that story. But I was invested. I forgot the intricacies, but I know I listened to it, yes.
So Mr. Syed is how you pronounce it, was released from prison this week. Well, last week by the time this comes out. And if you watch the video, and what a handsome man he is. Ooh, I looked at him and was like, oh, statuesque, shoulders back, broad. I was like, ooh, sir. But I looked at him and he almost looked hesitant to celebrate. Mm-hmm. Right? He almost still looked like, I need to reserve this because at any point it could be taken away from him. Like he couldn't fully be in that moment. And you could hear it when you listen to the podcast, how he would get his hopes up and then it would bring him down. And so he had to regulate his happiness in a certain way. And so I started to think to myself, like, how can the fucking state ever repay him? He spent 27 years behind bars. 27. He was tried as an adult. And him getting out, everyone believes, is a direct impact or directly correlated to this excellent journalism from Serial. And wow, it was just wild to me that he was out as a result of, not because they said he's not guilty, to be very clear. They said basically that the state did not prove its case. And on top of that, there were two other people that were in question that the defense was never aware of. Yeah. So it's just wild to me. And then on top of that, they said that the technology that they used to corroborate, remember his friend?
Use that word, bitch. Yes.
What'd you say?
Corroborate. Get it.
Now you made me say it wrong.
Oh, no. You said it right.
No. To corroborate his friend who was the witness.
Which was weird. Like, why are you being weird to me? Was he getting paid? Like, what? No.
But this friend, and what was wild was that the prosecution said all along, we know that this witness is a problem. We know that this is not a good witness, but We have cell phone records that will corroborate his story. And now it comes to find out that the technology used does not actually corroborate the story at all. And so this man rotted in prison. It just highlights all of the various issues within our justice system. You know, you have a child being tried as an adult. You have a faulty witness. You have bad technology. And then on top of that, you have the prosecution withholding information from the defense, which is illegal. And then the two officers that interviewed these other two, what's the word when you're what? Oh man, here I go.
Boy, here
the
we
word
go.
when
I know the
come
word
on, help
too.
me, child. Around the way curls. The word when you are a person of interest.
Suspects.
They have, one of them has been let go from the police department for doing that shit in another case.
Doing what shit in another case?
Not fully investigating, and then withholding the information.
I'm telling you, why are you being weird to me?
And
why is
the
Jay
other
a
two
black man?
suspects are both locked up for very similar crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then
crazy.
they had a witness that corroborated that story that those two suspects did it. That they were letters. There was documents never shared.
Saeed, had he been rich and had proper defense, it would have never happened. Never. I'm telling you.
Well, had his name not been fucking Syed.
Had his name not been Syed. I'm telling you, people, this country hates poor people. They hate them.
Why do you say
they will go after you. They hate them. Had he had proper defense, had he had a shark ass lawyer, never. It would have tore that shit up.
Look at the white boy that traveled state lines and got off shooting people up. So I guess I asked myself, how do you even begin to repay this man? 27 years. You know, and I really am so grateful for all the people that worked on that podcast, from that one reporter, the woman who took it on, all the people that produced it. It was incredible. I think I'm going to go back and listen to it. I'm sure that with this news that podcast is soaring at this point in terms of listens and downloads. But I'm so proud of that work, and I'm so happy for him, but yet so terribly
bittersweet,
sad for him as well, because I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine.
He better get some dope ass legal team and sue the fuck out of those people.
I hope so. But even still, you sue them and you get money, but that's 27 years.
Oh no.
That's 27 years. And who knows what he experienced.
And the trauma. I know.
He couldn't even celebrate. He couldn't even smile. And he was probably really overwhelmed because he was met with all these strangers cheering him on who he doesn't even know. It's just listeners of the podcast. You know, it's just
powerful, though. That energy is powerful.
Yeah, I hope that he feels wrapped up, you know. Anyway, last thing I'm going to say about there was a lot of politics this week, y'all. I hope it's riveting. But Iranian women are protesting, I don't know how to say this woman's name, the murder of Masha Amini. She was, I believe, only 22 years old. She was murdered in northern Tehran. And this young woman was murdered by the notorious morality police. And those are the folks that enforce the country's rule on hijabs and other conservative Islamic modes of dress and behavior. And they're very much known to harass women, and poor women specifically. And so this woman was visiting her family. She's not from that part. She's from like the outskirts, another poor part of Iran. And they said the officers took her into custody because part of her hair was showing. And they took her into custody and beat the hell out of her. A picture went viral of her on unconscious in the hospital on life support with swollen face. The officers tried to say that she had a heart attack and just died. The family this woman is taken into custody. She's supposed to be given some sort of training around how to dress, how to be proper within the society in terms of their mode of practicing Islam. The incident has since sparked outrage. The country is, they have been outraged by the morality police. They've been calling for that to be dismantled. But it's you have women taking off their hijabs and burning them, which is very different because usually they take them off and then they put them on them when the police come, apparently. I've been watching a lot of stories around this, but the fact that they're burning them, you can't put it back on. So they're done hiding. They also, more noticeably now, have men backing them up in these protests, which is very interesting as well. So I also want to point out that in 2019, an Iranian woman named Sahir, Khadrari, was dressed up as a man to sneak into a stadium and watch a men's soccer game. Someone found this out. She was arrested by the police. She learned that she could spend 6 months in jail. And in protest, she set herself on fire.
Oh, my Lord.
So this also sparked outrage. So this has been bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. And I'm really proud of these women. I cannot imagine, we go to our little marches in the U.S. and we have police escorts. We have them blocking the street so we can do it. These folks are cutting their hair off and just completely facing danger. And I'm very worried about what's going on over there, but I'm also really proud. And I don't hear enough people talking about it. So I just wanted us to lift up our brothers and sisters in Iran and understand too that this is not like a Muslim thing. This is, extremism and patriarchy and injustice. Like it's just wild to me. I can't imagine living anywhere where there's morality police. Like, suck my dick. What? So, and it just makes me reflect on the shit that we complain about here and rightfully so. But boy, we got it.
Shout out to them, bringing them safety and keeping that energy alive and hopefully bringing about some kind of change. Just disrupting.
And I wish I had a resource in terms of how to help. I'm ignorant. I don't know how to help these people. I don't know
just
that there is
continuing to share the movement, keeping that sticky. I think that goes a really long way.
Yeah, you're right. All right. Well,
hijabs as well.
Hijabs.
Yeah.
You know what? I listened to 3 different things today, and everyone said it different. One woman said hijab. She was white though, so I should have known she was probably saying it wrong. Another woman said hijab, and then you said hijab.
I don't know. Maybe they may have different pronunciations depending on where they are. I know them as hijabs.
I don't mean any disrespect. So if somebody knows, please call in and let us know the proper name. Apologies, but I did try to figure it out before we got on, and everybody was saying it different. So anyway, let's take a little break. We're gonna come back with our pop culture, lighten it up a little bit. Of course, we have to lift our sister Nia Long up. Talk about that little doohickey of a scandal. So Shanti.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Ooh.
That was beautiful. Right. And we are back. So you wrote this. I didn't necessarily want to talk about this point, but I think it's a good point. I more so wanted to talk about the organization, but take us in, Shani.
Girl, I don't know. I don't know the intricacies. I don't know how to say this man's name. I don't know his name. What happened?
What? How did you put this on? I'm obsessed with you.
I just put Nia Long and I put this. This is my take. I don't know his name.
All right.
Let me give you my summary of it.
Let me say what happened first. Because Shanti just like, he cheated on Nia? Say less. Okay. Ime Udoka, who is not Nia Long's husband. She is not married. Okay. It was her longtime fiance and the child of her youngest.
The father of her youngest.
See, tricky. Father of her youngest. See how that happened? Got me trying to take over for you, and I'm saying it wrong. Thank you. Got my back, queen. Yes. So he is the head coach of the Boston Celtics. That was his first year last year. Amazingly, in his first year, he led the team to the NBA Finals, which is, I don't know if that's happened before. He probably could have won Coach of the Year, but I think I don't remember who won that. I think it was the Suns coach, who's just another brilliant being. But anyway, Ime, last night, I'm scrolling a little too late and I see breaking news that he is going to be possibly suspended for the entire year. It is now confirmed he's suspended for the entire year. No one knew why. So I'm like, and immediately I'm thinking like, they got to tear a black man down. Can't just let him win. What do you do? And then I started to see that it was from the organization, not the league. So I'm like, that's interesting. It's not a league. Like Adam Silver, the commissioner of the, okay, so the organization, I knew it. The organization is the Celtics organization, the team organization. Okay. The league is the NBA, right?
Word.
So Adam Silver, who is the commissioner, this is not coming from him. So I'm thinking, okay, he did some like workplace shit. This is some HR shit. Because why would the organization would never want to get rid of this coach? Because they know
under the rug with the rest of them little
exactly. They know
little
this motherfucker's getting us to the NBA Finals now. So I said, "Oh, this is about a lady. This is about a woman." I swear, I said, "This is about he did something where they're like, if this gets out and we don't address it, it's going to get even stickier for us." Please, there's no way they would have swept so much under the rug, and that I'm sure they already do. Comes out he was having a consensual sexual relationship with the female.
Was it sexual or inappropriate?
Sexual, it says. That's what the articles are saying, allegedly. With a female staffer. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, wow. Nia Long came to mind. I was like, damn, this really stinks for her because now the shit's all public. She can't even grieve in private. It's just like the height of disrespect. You got a child involved, who's old enough to be on the internet and see this and know what's happening. She has to mother, right? She also has an older child who I'm sure has a close relationship with this man. He's been around for quite some time in his life. But then I went to, I'm really proud of this organization. And I'm sure that they didn't want to do it, right? But
I didn't say sexual. I'm just saying, just to be clear.
That's not what I read, Queen.
Well, the reason for Udoka's suspension is alleged consensual but improper relationship.
Okay. So basically the organization, here's the deal. We are in this moment of these large companies and corporations needing to change the behavior. Back in the day, it was rampant. These coaches, assistant coaches, players, just have fucking everybody in the building. Now, if you are in a position of power, you are the head coach. If you are sleeping with somebody within that organization, and the Celtics made it very clear, there can be none of that within our organization. It's in your contract, because let's say this woman wants to climb up the ladder, right? And then she doesn't get the job and their relationship somehow fizzles. She can come out and say it's because of that. She can say anything. And it could be because of that. Like it gets so muddy.
Tricky
so quickly. And also, are you using your power while they said it's consensual, did your power have anything to do with influencing this person to have this kind of relationship with you. It's just a bad look. So they said, we're not doing it. So I'm proud of the organization in that way. I don't know if they really wanted to do it, but at least they did. And I think that's a part of the conversation we're missing, because we tend to go straight to the gossip and straight to how the fuck did you cheat on Nia Long, which is a valid conversation to have. But here we are. And I grieve. I'm sad for him as well. What a terrible choice. What a silly choice. You know, he was doing so well in so many areas. And like, God, I'm sure he's looking back like this was not worth any of this. And what a hard way to learn this lesson. Ooh, child. But all I know is them. If I was on the Celtics team and I was a player and you was cheating on Nia Long, I wouldn't listen to a goddamn thing you was telling me. I'd be like, get him out of here. Like, you don't know nothing. You should have, to be messy for a second, when she showed up, when he first got the job and she finally showed up at the game, like courtside, they had pictures of the players like, looking at her all excited, like, yo, that's Nia Long. Like,
it's Nia motherfucking Long.
Do you know who she is? So Twitter has really
having a ball with it.
They're having
upholding her. Oh,
I'm sure that's painful too. It's all painful.
It's all painful.
For us, we might think we're upholding her, but
essence, a lot of things. Yeah. Everybody is just like sharing pictures of her. Yeah. Yes, making jokes about it, but at the expense of him, and trying to hold her up. Listen. Well, this is a good. I don't know. Listen, if Sean Corey Carter can cheat on,
who is Sean Corey Carter?
Sean Carter, if Jay-Z can cheat on Beyonce Giselle Knowles, everything is possible, and y'all better fucking know that every woman, Halle Berry, cheated on multiple times.
Multiple. He was a sex addict. Yeah.
Hundreds of times, maybe. Just fucking, like, what makes us think that desirability and being that bitch is going to save you from these men making poor decisions? It's just funny to me, or it's curious to me that that's the argument that everybody's making is, oh, you cheated on, I get it. But also, like,
y'all raggedy asses probably would too.
Yeah.
And you are not an NBA head coach. And you didn't go to the finals. No, I understand that. I think it's always easier to comment on something when you're not in it. And I understand your point.
I think that we really hold men to be simpletons. You know what I mean? Like, we really think that men's goals in lives is to get a trophy wife. And like, once they got a trophy wife, somehow that gives them title. And we really think that this is the thing that motivates men. I think that's a shame that we do that to men. They're complex individuals. A woman being bad is not it. That's not all that they want. Monogamy may not be it. Marriage, long-term relationships are hard and tricky. And like, the conversation could be about that. Dishonesty, hurting someone, embarrassing someone. Most importantly, like, the fact that this is not between the two of them.
Dishonoring her, yeah.
I think is is really, really hard, and what he should feel a lot of shame around. But the expectations of marriage are no joke. And we still as a community, as a country, long-term relationships, monogamy in general, is hard. And like, we still have this, I think, this fairy tale expectation of like,
we're also assuming that they were in a monogamous relationship.
Also, Nia might be long, nigga. Why you got our shit in the street? Like, I told you to do what you had to do, and then you go pick the. Nia's also fucking Scorpio, fucking beatnik ass parents. Like, they could have had an open relationship. We don't know. He might have just drawn out of the lines. But I don't know. I think
I want
Nia
to talk
Long.
less about them specifically and more about what you're talking about in terms of like that concept of just because you're a bad bitch, right? That automatically means that, you know, I want to say this in a way that doesn't put blame on the person who's being cheated on either. Like, I don't want to say this and like, just because you're a bad bitch, it doesn't mean that there's other things lacking in the relationship that will cause someone to
Doesn't
step
mean
out.
that.
That's not what I'm saying either. But I'm saying that all humans require a lot more than just that like surface level attraction. And that's like lusty. That's cool. Like that might get you in the door, but it doesn't keep you there. And as much as we talk, again, I don't want to be gossipy, but we talk so much shit about Will and Jada. And Jada, they have both said, don't nothing happen over here that we don't know, that we ain't good with, or that we're not talking about and working through. And I think that's a real
being bad is
goal.
not gonna.
That's a beacon of hope for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, being a bad
ain't gonna
bitch,
save
quote unquote,
you.
or like
have a good pussy ain't gonna save you.
None of it.
I don't know what having a fat ass ain't gonna save you. It's not gonna save you from the human experience of being in a relationship with somebody else. True. And like having to be honest and to be vulnerable and to uphold these expectations that are damn near impossible, that are really, really hard, that monogamy asks us to uphold. And again,
and then the lifestyle as well. You have two people who have lifestyles that require them to be away from each other for long periods of time. You know, it's just difficult. It's that, or you have two people that don't have all of this glitz and glam, right? And then they're downtrodden with capitalism and they're working 1 billion hours a day and they can't connect. It's all about that connection, that reconnection in my single ass mind. But how do I know? I don't know either. We don't know.
I just wish that they would give, I think men deserve more nuance in these conversations. Yes. They're not dumb. They're not simple. They're not just cheating. They are subject to the same difficulties of this human experience that women are. And the fact that we think they should just be happy with a bad bitch with a fat ass that is light skinned with good hair, or whatever fucking standards you think should make a man happy. I mean, I think it might be really, really hard for a lot. Like, Jay-Z, I got everything, but I'm still hungry for something else.
I'm still hurting.
I'm still acting out. I still have this void that I can't fill.
You know, when people are always like, it's not about you, and they cheat, and like, it says more about them. And in the moment, you're like, yeah, I hear you, sis. But it's so true. Mm-hmm. It's so true. I remember talking to, I won't say who it was. I was talking to someone, though, and they were telling me about a conversation that they had with a man that I greatly admire, who I think is just one of the most phenomenal men that I know. And their parents said to them, when they found out that they had been unfaithful to a partner of theirs, their parents said, that's so violent. It feels so violent. Why? What in you?
Yeah, what's going on?
Why did you do that?
Yeah.
And I had never heard it in those terms. And when I heard it, I don't know. I didn't know how I feel about it. I was like, well, people cheat, you know. When I was younger, and I couldn't understand the nuance of what they meant when they meant violence. But that kind of pain, whew, that's a different kind of hurt when you like, all the lies you told, all of this, like the actual sexual kind of compromising space that you put my sexual health in, like all of these questions come into play. And it does feel violent when you're on the other end of that. And if you're capable of inflicting that kind of violence, then what does that say about
what's
you?
Going on with you, man?
Yeah. Right. Like, how are you able to disregard me in such a way that you're okay and to sleep at night? Are you really okay? You can't be. And I think that's it's funny. When I was on See the Thing Is, Mandy brought up celebrity apologies. She was talking about Jimmy Kimmel and Quinta. And she asked, like, is there any celebrity apology that we forgave? And I immediately said Jay-Z. Immediately. Like, we heard his apology and we were like, okay, bet. And part of it was because I think he showed that he really was willing and continuously doing this work to heal whatever it was inside of him that was broken, that was hurt. He
and
went back to that, like, and
revealing it. Yeah.
Right. And went back to be like, yo, I did this not because I saw another bad bitch and I was just horny. That is so surface. Like, that's not it. It's because, like, yo, I'm hurt. 3-year-old, 4-year-old Jay-Z is real hurt. I'm really angry. And I'm trying to self-soothe.
Or self-sabotage, because I don't think I deserve these things. I don't think I deserve, I'm not capable of these things. I can't be loved. Beyonce said it. What, you think you don't deserve this kind of love? What'd she say? Something like,
she said,
you don't want me to love up on you? Whatever. Will Smith also had to do a public apology. He's another example of this. Will Smith still trying to figure out why the fuck he did what he did and trying to find the language for it. But it's such a beautiful, such a beautiful opening portal so that men can see it. And I hope that this brother, women can see it. So women can stop putting them in this space of, they're not simpletons.
And women can stop acting like they don't do the same shit.
And stop acting like all of our motives, the way we dress, talk, whatever, is so that we can be protected somehow. So we can be chose. And then if we're chosen, we're protected. We're, we're not going to be hurt. Anyway, listen. I hope Ime, what's his name?
No, struggle through that name the way I do. I ain't saying it because I'm probably saying it wrong too.
It's a pretty name. But the way you said it.
I would never read that. I would never use
Udoka.
Nigerian. So
I'm Udoka. It sounds like the Udoka.
You made
anyway.
Udoka, I think. But I think that's a abbreviated name because his name, I believe, is much longer than that. But
I hope that I hope that he uses this platform to really figure his shit out and
same.
Yeah, I have another space to really connect us as humans and stop with these dumbass tropes.
And I hope that he talks to those young men when he's allowed back in that goddamn locker room.
You fucking with a Scorpio. Nina is never going to fucking forgive you. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's not fair either.
Let me go to a trope. Fuck all those tropes. But on to my astrology stereotypes.
She's like, we need to give grace. They're not simpletons, but also she's never.
These Scorpios.
I love the clip that everybody's posting when she's like, "Do you know who the guy am?" from the Kanye West video. Speaking of Kanye West, I have not watched this interview. Kanye is such a conundrum to me. Kanye is someone that I want to hold. I really do. If I were to see him, I would want to take him in my arms, hit him upside the back of his head, and then hold him real tight and tell him to just take a breath. Just breathe with me real fast. I know it's chaotic because that's what I feel from him. It's like, oh, you frustrate me so much, but there's also this endearing little boy that I see in him too. I see the little boy in Kanye.
That he holds, that he's not scared to express.
No, I don't even know if he's even always aware of it. Like, you really saw it in the doc when he would feel rejection, you would see him but it wasn't like he was angry. It was more like there was like a hurt thing, but then it was like, okay, I got to keep like overcoming this, or I'm gonna show them. Anyway, Kanye did some interview. I think it's with Good Morning America, and of course he talks about Kim and he issues an apology to Kim and how he's been carrying on. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna have to issue many more apologies to Kim because he's gonna keep cutting up. But then he went on to talk. We all know that or maybe we don't, that Kanye is severing ties with everybody. He calling out every brand that he's ever worked with, from Gap to Adidas. He's had it. He's like, this Yeezy brand is my brand. I am not in alignment with you people. He tried to say that he stopped the deal with the Gap because they were producing in China and he wanted them to produce in America. And I'm like, that sounds good, but I think it's other things. And you were like, how can we make this, like, again, what did you say? You said the marketing and the PR. That is everything.
It's everything.
That's how he packaged that. But anyway, he goes on, the interviewer, black woman, I can't remember her name right now. She goes on to say, so a couple years ago, you did this interview with Sway, the morning show. And because he's severing all these ties with the brand, she was like, and it seems that he said this, he said this to you. He said, what if you were to put this out yourself? If you were to distribute your brand yourself. And Kanye stops and he goes, you know what? And he has this little smile on his face, the way he has. And it's a knowing smile of, but. And he goes, all right, maybe I'm here to say this. Sway did have the answers. And I just like, you little shit. and it was like, and so now everybody's making fun of him and they're, having a good time with that and saying like, Sway did have the answers, merch coming soon. Like, there's no way. Sway, get your coin. But I do want to talk about that outside of Kanye, the importance of owning your IP. Right? The importance of owning an IP, for those who don't know, intellectual property, the importance of being in control of your art, if that is what you intend to do, right? Because some people create businesses with the intention to sell them, right? Some people will create a show and be like, yo, I'm trying to sell this shit to a network and get the fuck out of here. I don't have the time to commit to this. Yeezy is obviously something that Kanye is near and dear to Kanye, that Kanye wants to be a part of. I don't think he will ever sell Yeezy. I think like that's his shit. So there's this importance of owning IP, but then I said, well, had he, and what is that called when you just, it's not self-distribute. There's a business term for
distribution?
Yeah, but it's the business term of it when you distribute. Anyway. If he were to distribute Yeezy on his own, right, and figure that out, if he were to have done that back in the day when Sway was saying that, when Sway said, why don't you take a step back, Kanye? Sway talk. And he said, and you don't have to collaborate with these brands. You don't have to this. And he was like, ow, Sway! Screaming at him. Would Yeezy be as big as it is now? Did he need those brands to get it to pop off, to get those shoes to pop off? So strategically, did it make sense? And then to dissolve the relationship, is that the way to go about it? I really don't know. Like, are these corporate giants necessary for success, even if you're Kanye West?
I think so. I think there's some, I think he may have not had the tight legal small script to protect him for whatever his concerns are. Like, if you write in what you want, and you present that when you guys are doing your negotiations, then you can do a lot of things. I don't know what his gripes are, but it feels like the advertising, the marketing, the legal work, and then the distribution required to mass produce items is, we don't have the supply chain. We don't have those chains of production and distribution without, if you want to sell it in that mass way by yourself. Like, the amount of, these are damn near hundreds of years old. These are generations of businesses and relationships that have been built. These are political relationships at this point, that if you want to produce it in a huge way, then I don't know I don't know if you can usurp them. But he could have brought his legal stuff in and made it happen. He had more control, but
I think like a lot of people will bring up Rihanna, but Rihanna does not fully own her company. I don't think people realize that. Her company is owned by LVMH, which is the luxury fashion group Moet, Hennessy, Louis Vuitton. You know, Beyonce, Ivy Park is with Adidas, you know? All of these people have aligned with some super group. And it's only like a few. It's wild to me the way these businesses work. It's only like a few of them that really own everything. And then they have these subdivisions that we don't realize are all under the same umbrella. So when these deals are struck, God, I mean, we watch Succession. That shit is wild.
It's wild.
It's just a wild,
it's
wild West, Joe. So at this point, I don't know. We don't know what Kanye West is going to do, but I was recently in talks with a group of people this week about IP. There's a deal on the table for a project that I'm working on where we could possibly be on a network, right? But they would own the IP. How do we feel about that? And I had to sit with it. I had to say, like, I need to sit with it because I need to understand what my intention with this project is. You know, like, am I attached to this IP? What creative say, if any at all, do I have if they own the IP? How can we negotiate that? You know, I had to sit and think like, well, what is the barometer? You know, like, what are my intentions with it? So, and it's different for everyone. It's really this idea of intellectual property is so interesting to me. And there's some folks who I talk to are like Javes. She said, I would never sign a deal where anyone owns my IP ever. And I think it's because so many of the projects that she does, they're all very personal to her. They're near and dear to her. And so I was talking it through with her. And then I talked to Mandy, who was like, I created X company to sell it, you know? So it's all very interesting, but
it's a business acumen that is built, right? Because I think
business acumen.
There's so many of us think IP and you have to own it, and ownership is the way to like amass wealth. And just like you're saying, no, it's actually not. You may want to sell it. You may want to build this thing just to sell it. And there's no real need to invest so much time in keeping it when, you know, what's your main goal?
Unless you are, what's his face? Patagonia Bull. His main goal was not money.
And he never sold. It's always been private. It never went public.
Never.
This I saw on Instagram, which was really, really interesting. He was talking about how so many Black businesses, what's really big now are like t-shirt companies, right? So everybody's wanting to invest and design a new t-shirt, but nobody wants to be the t-shirt distributor. Nobody wants to be the manufacturer. Nobody wants to be behind how making the screen.
Maybe that's where the money
Nobody
is.
wants to talk about shipping it, being the delivery people behind it. So there's all of these different parts of business as Black people that we don't even know what's possible. So a lot of us are learning, not to say that Kanye is stuck, because the lessons that he is learning and he's seeing behind the veil, and he's seeing like, oh, this is how this shit works. This is how this shit works. He may be setting it up so that his kids.
Oh, he said that.
You know, he may not be able to do it with Yeezy now, but now that the veil is lifted, I think Jay-Z, all these people are now talking about, oh, we're going to build these infrastructures so that we don't have to be the cogs in the machine. Nigga, we are the machine.
Yeah.
Which
I don't know.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Right.
Black
capitalism.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's exciting. It's exciting in a lot of ways. It is a wild, wild west in terms of Black entrepreneurship and like what's possible for us as we get more money and start building these relationships and figuring out how the fuck a clock is built.
Girl.
We're going to build our own.
Anyway.
A bomb in it. Blow it all up.
What? Okay, you can't say things like that on the air. So with that, Shanti drinks her water from the broken water bottle from shout out to Devin. Yeah, I must say I enjoyed this episode.
I did as well.
It was riveting.
We did that.
I don't know if it was riveting, but you tickled my fancy a bit. I'm learning from you.
I want a nigga to whisper that in my ear. What if a man went up to me? Tickle my fancy.
Well,
cheat on you.
On the next episode, you'll hear what some men were trying to whisper in my ear.
Oh, stay tuned.
Ciao. All right, everyone. I don't know how much kiki that was. We keyed a little bit. It was like, key. That's what you got. Key. We'll try better next week. Anyway, yeah. See you all on Thursday. Bye.
Bye.